Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 70 of the Canberra Football Show, final episode of the season, grand finals review. Joining us for the first time in a while is Russ. Russ, you've been a very busy man, so I'm very grateful that you're on. How's it going today?
Yeah, nice to be back on. I missed a few weeks, been away up at National Youth Championships, and I think that was the last 2 weeks. A week before that, I think we had a match on the Monday night. I think there was one at 6:30 or something. Yes, it's been a while, but yeah, I've been really busy, but been enjoying it. It's been a great season, and looking forward to wrapping it all up with you guys here tonight.
It should be good. And Michael, how's it going this afternoon?
Yeah, doing all right, Matt. Doing all right. Not so happy after the Manchester derby result this morning, but we soldier on. At least we've got some grand finals to review. So, I'm sure that'll put me in a better mood.
Well, let's kick it off. You got the NPL grand final, Monaro versus Canberra, Croatia.
Yeah, so Monaro coming out victors in this one over Canberra, Croatia, the minor premiers for this season. What an absolutely outstanding game between both sides this past weekend, who were obviously playing for the ultimate prize in this match. It looked like both sides, started the match, pretty well before sort of Canberra, Croatia reached a period in that first half there where they were starting to put together some opportunities and sights of goal, but that was until 5 minutes before the break when McLaren proved to be, the hero yet again in a finals match, coming up clutch for the Panthers, with a beautiful curling effort into the far corner to give Monaro the advantage heading into the halftime break. So they did manage to score at a really crucial time in the game, especially at a point where Canberra, Croatia, like I mentioned, was sort of getting themselves in the groove and looking to obviously break the deadlock, and they'd created some opportunities for themselves, but it was Monaro that obviously went ahead just before the break, and they almost actually had a second when Michael John had a side of goal as well, but it sort of just went straight down the middle of keeper Sam Brown. So that shot, could have gone, either side. The power was actually pretty decent on the shot, but it, thankfully for Sam Brown, it sort of just went straight to him so he could collect. But going into the second 45 minutes, and, Croatia, they came out with a high intensity to start the second half there. And, their efforts were rewarded, 10 minutes after the restart when Bailey brought down Tedeschi in the box. So that was a penalty awarded to Canberra, Croatia. And then obviously that's where we saw Stephen Dominici prove to be as clinical as ever, just like he has been throughout his NPL career, to convert from the penalty spot to level the proceedings up. And then with the scores at 1-1, you could sort of feel both teams were sort of feeling the pressure, as yellow cards started to be sort of flashed out by the referee on a fair few different occasions. I think it really just spoke to sort of how intense the game was getting at that stage when it was 1-1, obviously heading closer and closer towards the 90-minute mark. But, in a moment when, you need someone to step up and deliver in such a crucial moment in a grand final, that's what Monaro were able to do. And they got their second goal, their second lead, of the game, and the second goal for them in this match as Bailey came up, he made up obviously for costing his side the penalty at one end, and then obviously he produces the winner at the other end. So it just goes to show you how quickly things can change in a matter of moments in football. And you could see just how excited the Monaro faithful was when he scored, and he ran over to the fans and celebrated with them, which was a nice sight to see. And obviously, that proved to be the final goal of the game. Monaro ended their title drought, and, they gave the departing coach, Frank Keisha, the perfect send-off. It's the least you could obviously do. It's the best thing that you could do, knowing that, your coach will be leaving. I mean, to deliver a grand final trophy is the icing on the cake on what has been a great season for the Monaro Panthers, who, they claimed a title for the first time in 23 years. And it's an amazing achievement considering, obviously, what the club has sort of been through over numerous years to get to this point that they found themselves at on the weekend, where they ended up becoming NPL champions. Russ, what were your thoughts on this match? Obviously, you were commentating this sensational game between two very good sides, and maybe it'd be fair to say that many people thought Croatia would sort of come out on top, given that they were in front of their home fans, but that's not how it played out, and Monaro came away with the victory.
Yeah, I thought myself that Croatia might have had too much for the Panthers all round, but what the Panthers did bring to the party was that incredible team spirit, that incredible work ethic for each other, and that ability to battle. Frank Cation mentioned it a couple of times in interviews that I've done with him over the last couple of weeks. He goes, and people say this kind of thing, I'll take these guys to war, and they would. I mean, they'd battle for you, they'd fight for you, and they go to the very end. It was a cracking grand final, I thought. It had everything we really wanted from a grand final. Chances for both teams. It was a close contest. Big moments that were given. Proper challenges that were going in. It was a great game to watch. A great game to commentate. There was one or two dusty boys at the Riverside on Sunday. We were trying to commentate on the CPL grand final between Tuggeranong and Brindabella, and we were invaded halfway through by a clutch of badly dressed Monaro Panthers first grade players. You may have caught sight of Josh Calabria at halftime. That was about probably the best dressed one of the lot, to be honest. There was a fair few out there that were wearing things they shouldn't be. But, they celebrated long and hard into the night, as they would. The game itself, from start to finish, you couldn't pick who was going to win. There was chances galore. There was some great goalkeeping from both keepers. You mentioned Sam Brown at one end, Jordan Thurtell at the other. Absolutely magnificent again. The goals themselves, Zach McLaren's taken a long time to get goals this season. So he got 3, and 2 of them have been in the last 2 weeks. We were talking about David Jenkins a couple of weeks ago, scoring at 10 a.m. at Deakin Stadium at that end of the ground. Well, that's now the Zach McLaren end. He's got 2 there, really pivotal ones, very similar. Good finishes as well. We knew that Canberra Croatia would come back into it because they've got so much quality throughout the side. Losing Marco Gaia early on might have been a blow to them, but Cecilia came on and did a great job. They got the penalty. Dominici was never going to miss that on the big occasion, but right at the end, when they needed it, and I think I said it in commentary, Gabe Cole needed to find a delivery, and he found it, and he's been clutch for them this year. It was his corner that caused the mayhem for the goal in the Australia Cup final equaliser at the 94th minute at Deakin Stadium, and it was his free kick that found David Jenkins. And Darren Bailey's just done what Darren Bailey does, thrown his body on the line. I mentioned at the time probably the scruffiest goal he'll ever score, but quite frankly, he won't care, and neither will anyone in green and black. They've broken that 23-year drought, and it's a fitting way to send off Frank Cation, who's done some marvellous things at that club in the last couple of years. You'll see an interview I did with him on Capital Football's Facebook page a bit later in this week, asking him if there's a tinge of regret that he's stepping down from that role. And, I think there might well be off the back of that, because we all play football and watch football for our sides to win. You mentioned at the start of the broadcast here, Michael, about how disappointed you were last night with the Manchester derby. And this time last year was a similar thing. But the year before, United were winning those games.
Exactly.
So that's why we love football. It's not terminal if you lose. There's always next season, and Canberra Croatia will come back firing. They'll come back stronger, and they'll want to snatch that back from the Panthers. We talked about the Panthers this season as being a side that could make the top 4, that could win a trophy, that could win the grand final, and they've done so. Different for them next season. Now they become the hunted. Everybody wants the trophies off of them, and it's how they respond to that. But in the meantime, I think they can have a few months of just enjoying themselves.
Certainly can. Congratulations to them, and also their 23s, Angelo Zaris and Lou Gaspari. They're also getting the victory, so a double for them on the day. Called that one with Paolo Celestino. That was a very good game there at Deakin at 12 p.m. So we have a double from Monaro in the men's, then we also have a double from Olympic in the women's. So 2 very happy clubs coming out of that day. Russ, this is the first time we've had you on in a while. So I don't think we've had you on since Belco got relegated. So
Probably not, no.
No, so can we just get your thoughts on Belco being relegated to the CPL? And Tuggeranong might have given them a blueprint, but that obviously is easier said than done once it actually comes to preparing, which I'm sure it's going to be a big off season for them to try and prepare over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a major surprise, isn't it? I think at the start of the year, none of us really expected Belconnen United to be the side that goes down, but the table doesn't lie, as the old football cliche goes, and they got the least amount of points, and they will be in the CPL next year, and it's going to be a difficult one for them, isn't it? Because they've got such a great crop of young players there that want to play NPL first grade, and they've got a crop of older players that maybe don't want to play CPL. So we'll wait and see how that affects the club. I think it's a major rebuilding job that they've got there. I think Steve Forshaw is more than likely 99% now. I think it's confirmed to be taken over there, and he's got a massive rebuild on his hands there. His key go-to players from last year, your Max Greens and those kind of players, Christian Kreskus, I don't imagine they'll be at the club next season. There's a whole clutch of under 23s that you mentioned the 23s final. They walked that league near enough in the 23s. They were brilliant. Went out in straight sets in the finals, as has happened to a lot of teams. But can they keep that clutch of players? Can they mold them into first grade players? Or are they now thinking, well, I've done my dash in 23s. I'm a first grade footballer. I want to play first grade football. And you know what it's like. The vultures will circle. They circle when Tuggeranong went down. It's how the club can keep those players that they want to keep and build again. You mentioned the blueprint from Tuggeranong with Mitch Stevens. I think it is a blueprint on how to get out of that division. You've got to have young, enthusiastic, hungry players that are fit and can take you to the limit and can play for 90 minutes and can battle. Because let's be honest, there's most of those games. Some of them during the mid-season are played on horrible fields. You've got to be able to dig in. You've got to be able to fight. You've got to be able to win matches when you're playing poorly. It's hard, and it's going to be difficult for Belconnen United. Will they come back up straight away? Well, we don't know. I think Queanbeyan City will be a better side again next year, and you will be a better side again next year. Brindabella Blues, well, we saw them on the weekend. What a story they've been, and if they can keep those young players happy at that club, and they'll push for the finals next year. White Eagles are always there or thereabouts. They'll be massively disappointed they didn't make the four. So it's going to be really, really hard for them. Fresh start, rebuild, start again. It's going to be difficult. I'm looking forward to seeing how they face that challenge. I think they've got the right man in charge there. A bit biased. I've known Steve for a long time, and he's a really nice bloke. He's good football knowledge, and he's been tasked with going back to a club where he's had huge amount of success in the past and trying to lift them back up. Be a story worth watching.
It certainly should be interesting in regards to that next season. And we do know a new coach for a certain club next season. Paulo McCaw comes in at Canberra Olympic with Danny McCaw as his assistant. So clearly big plans ahead for Canberra Olympic. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, the McCaws have a bit of a history in the NPL, know how to win as players and coaches. Obviously, they were a part of that 99 winning squad for Monaro, actually. So it's a nice little link there. And this is their first title since. And obviously, as a coach, they've won NPL with Canberra, Croatia, I believe, most recently. And then most recently before that, they made the top four with Belconnen in 2020. So thoughts on McCaws at Olympic?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? I think what we will see is a whole raft of new players joining that football club. And we're not talking just your average Joes either. I think there'll be some really big names that are going to go to that football club. I've already heard of 3 or 4 that may have signed. What I won't mention because they haven't officially been announced, but the names I'm hearing are going to make them a real championship challenge next year. Let's be honest, they weren't far off this year, were they?
No, they weren't.
Just missed out of the top 4 at the last round of action, and that was with a really good young group. Molding the new signings with the young group that's there, they'll be genuine contenders next year. And as we'd expect from Canberra Olympic, I mean, we talk about big football clubs, and Canberra Olympic are one of those. They're genuinely one of the clubs in Canberra that have got good backing, good sponsors, and they fight and make finals more often than not. So they're missing out last year would have been disappointing for them, but their appointments of the McCaws is a step forward in their thought process. They feel that they need to take a movement, I believe, back to where they were before, bring in some big name players and try to win some trophies. It's how they mould and keep those young boys that were very good for them, I thought, this year. Yeah, you people like Alan James, Ahegi was good, Subasic, all those young boys, Max Melik as well. I mean, you keep hold of those boys as well. They'll be an interesting story to watch too. The McCaws, well, they're winners, and they won't want anything less than success at Canberra Olympic, and they'll expect it.
They certainly will, and I'm sure there'll be more ins and outs as the season goes. I'm sure it'll be all over the Facebook pages of all the clubs. And lastly, just overall, what are your final thoughts of the season? Any other notable sort of stories that you took out of this crazy first full season in 2 years?
Won't be spoiled by it as well. Absolutely terrific season from start to finish. From the first match, I had the privilege to call at McKellar when we saw Monaro set the marker down for a 3-0 away win in round one to the finals on the weekend, and the 93 odd matches I did in between the times as well. It was a long season, but it was never a boring season. The NPL campaign was magnificent from start to finish. We had great action and excitement at both ends of the park and that of the table rather, and that's why the relegation aspect of it is so important. We had plenty of games towards the end of the year where we would have been dead rubbers, would have been nothing on them, but we were going, week in, week out, talking about which games are we covering this week? Who are we going to go and see? Do we go and watch the Wanderers, who had a terrific comeback, horrible start to the year, got themselves back, dragged themselves up? Do we go and watch Belconnen as they get themselves relegated? What's happening with the Tigers? 12 draws. How are the league champions defending themselves, and everything there and in between. And of course, we had some great moments too, some wonderful goals, some absolutely spectacular goals. I don't believe we would have had that many spectacular goals in a season I can remember for a long, long, long time. And then you take into consideration the goalkeeping, some sensational saves, and not just in first grade. We watched the CPL on the weekend. I don't know if you watched the under-23s, but Adam Stevens in goal for Wagga made 2 outstanding stops. Absolutely brilliant. And, this is the quality that we're getting, and we can only hope that we get more of it next year. And I think we will. Tuggeranong coming back up will add something else to the mix. They're a young, hungry football club with young, hungry players too. It's just really exciting, and it's disappointing that it's finished, but it's finished in a way with a final series that we thought we were going to get when we knew that the 4 teams that were in it were all footballing sides, and they gave us a treat to finish the season. And it was the cherry on the icing on that cake, if you want another cliche.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Adam Stevens there. When we were calling that one, we were saying, that's got to be a man of the match performance, right? There's 2 crucial saves essentially to keep his side in the final, and then they ended up beating Brindabella in the end. So congratulations to Wagga there in that regard. Russ, thank you so much for all your contributions this season. It's been greatly appreciated. Any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, I've got a few weeks off now, which is rather nice, and then we go straight into action with the new Futsal Premier League, which should be great. We've got I think it's a uni derby to kick off the Futsal Premier League. I think it's the ANU Apex against the UC Stars, so that's something to look forward to as well. I'll be calling a few of them. Got some Liberty A-League games coming up as well, which is good to keep me busy over the summer, and then we'll all reconvene in about January or February, make ourselves look like absolute mugs again when we try and predict what the league table is going to look like, because I can't remember what we said back in the day, but I'd imagine it
wasn't right.
anywhere near what it actually was.
Yeah, it probably wasn't right.
No, I can almost guarantee it wasn't.
Welcome, everybody, back to our NPLW segment of the show. Jeremy Magan joins us fresh off a call of the reserve grade and NPLW grand finals. Similar result in both, with the double for Olympic. Jeremy, how was the commentary for both of those before we get into it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks, Andrew Woodman, for waking up early and coming with me to do the reserves game. And of course, thanks for Russ, who was here just throughout the day. He was here before me for the reserves game. And of course, he called the first grade next to me. He was the lead commentator, rather. It was a lot of fun. It was a great festival of football. 4 grand finals in a row is obviously always going to be a good Saturday. And the results, I think followed suit. Good on Olympic, twice winning by 3 goals. It's a testament to the program this season.
It certainly is. Let's get straight into it. Belco started the match brightly, pressing Olympic up the park, creating a few early chances early on that were just wide of the post. Olympic opened the scoring, though, in the 20th minute. Vanessa Ryan whipped in a pitch-perfect cross that was sort of contested by a couple of people. The goal ended up being an own goal from Backhouse, who's contesting the ball, tried to clear it, ended up going the back of the net. 2 minutes later, Olympic sort of made that dream start, didn't they? Doubling their lead. Olivia Gurney put a great ball to Ash Sykes, and Ash Sykes did what she does best, storming around a defender with pace, weaving in and out and burying the ball in the back of the net. Heading into halftime, Belco found themselves in a similar position to where they were in the Fed Cup against Olympic, where they were also down 2-0 at halftime. So they had a bit of inspiration to sort of call on from the past, and were looking to come out of the blocks, all guns blazing. Unfortunately for them, though, the second half did not turn out at the start anyway how they would have liked. 2 minutes into the second stanza, Olivia Gurney received the ball from wide and unleashed an absolute bullet just under the crossbar. I think Russ Gibbs described it as a grand final goal for the ages for Olympic, and it certainly was. It was an absolute cracker to make it 3-0. Ash Sykes bagged the brace 10 minutes from time as Nicole Joloka put a through ball to her, and Ash Sykes propped it up for herself and smacked it on the bounce for 4-0. Belconnen grabbed one back, though, from the kickoff straight after that to make it 4-1. Olivia Bumford from deep. Nice ball over the defense, and Tatum Matsis got on the end of it and buried it past the keeper. Commiserations to Belco. Still, even though I'm sure it's a tough loss to take, still a great season for them. Heaps of positives for them to build on for next season, with Scott Conlon making both these grand finals, beating Canberra, Croatia in the way they did as well. Heaps of positives for this young side. Great project they're building at Belconnen under Scott Conlon. Congrats to Canberra Olympic, though. They've won their first ever NPLW grand final, first ever double with reserve grade also winning on the same day, and also Nicole Begg becoming the first ever female coach to win an NPLW grand final. So congratulations all around. Yeah, that was superb in this game. And then you just look at the bench as well, Jeremy. I'm sure you'll discuss this also, but you've got stacked bench, the likes of Olivia Fogarty coming off the bench, the likes of Michaela Thornton coming off the bench, Thornton just getting back from Europe, I was told the night before, and then literally just got in Canberra on the day and comes off the bench and puts on a performance like she always does. So many players there, like you're going to mention, did a really good job on the day. It was also one thing I saw from just being at the game and watching. It was awesome to see all the juniors get involved in the post-match celebrations. It seems like they're building a great culture there for the women's game at Canberra Olympic, and they're clearly building something special under Nicole Begg. And this season has 2 trophies to show for it between the Fed Cup and this grand final. Jeremy, heaps to break down there. What did you make of it all?
Yeah, a lot to talk about. Of course, I mean, it is a great season for Canberra Olympic. The off season that they had last year, of course, coming out of it, they were title contenders the whole time. They made the most of it. We could see early on a few teetering issues to solve, because of course a lot of those players hadn't played together before. But Nicole Begg really steered the ship the right way. And we could see with the integration of younger players, with player playing in, I guess, so-called out of position, but then eventually making it their own. Elke Aitolu, the main example. The emergence of Meg Roden, the emergence of Tanya Miro, or the confirmation of Tiana Miro, is also great to see. And whenever those players were in form, then Mickey Thornton was able to jump in. It looks like every 5 game or 6 game or so, they had a new hero to really head the advantage, the attack, I should say. So it was just a fantastic season, and it is credit to Nicole Begg. When you have that much talent off the pitch and on the pitch, you're always wondering, how are the coaches juggling? Are players going to complain that they don't have enough playing time, etc. But having talked to Mick Begg as well just before the reserves game to get a bit more information about what was going on in the program over there, he was telling us that players like Jasmine Zabel, just coming back from injury and of a season with Belconnen last year, was so good in reserve that she got a chance in first grade. But player like Ella Hemmings or Sienna Farrar or Brittany Fioresi that we would usually see in first grade last year were in reserve this year, and they were fine with it because it worked better with what they were doing. So I think they're doing a great job as a program as a whole to keep the talent in the women's football. We lose so much talent in women's football to other priorities in life. It's great that they're allowing them to stay back. Kat Peric is another example, coming back after having children and playing to the level that she's been playing all season. So he is really a credit to whatever is going on at O'Connor and in the club. What we've seen this season, of course, it's all well and beautiful, but to have a good culture, but you have to have the results on the pitch. And they have the best defense in the league for a reason. They are solid behind, and they are solid when they bring the ball back up. There's threats everywhere, and we've kept seeing it. And during the final, the Ash Sykes might score two, but everybody could have a chance. Liv Gurney's goal is amazing. Every time Liv Fogarty was making a run in the second half, it could be dangerous. Every time Mickey Thornton had the ball, that she can score one from wherever. That free kick from LK Aitolu wasn't far either. So it's just everything in this team seems to click well. I put it on that review that I did today. There's the experience of somebody like Victoria Jamieson or Ali Cook, who are carrying those Olympic values forever now, and who are helping the other teams coming in and adapting. There's the youth coming in. There's the experience from other players that gels. But at the end of the day, you gotta give credit to Nicole Begg for getting those girls to gel together so fast. It's only one season. People might think that it's a long time, but to get the players to get into gear quickly enough and to not fall into issues or miscoordination during the football takes definitely a bit of work. And Nicole Begg has been very, very impressive in making all that click together nicely. As far as Belconnen goes, commiserations, but at the beginning of the season, they were the third best team, maybe fourth at one point when West Canberra beat them in the first round of games. But then slowly but surely, they just got stronger and stronger. Same thing. They had a very hard case in front of them, having to replace Sarah Johnston, Vanessa Ryan, Mickey Thornton, Nicole Jaloka, just for those those players. Excuse me. We were wondering where those team was going to end up. And they did really well. I mean, Sophia Dumos gets the medal for best player of the final. She's probably the best example of how great the Belconnen team has been. But Talia Bakas, Olivia Bumford, Kira Bobin, all those players have played so well. And same thing, we've seen strengths. One game the other. When he wasn't Royal Ewan, it was Sofia Paliwoda. When he wasn't them, Karen Clark would score the goal that matters. So it's also a program that is developing nicely. It's very exciting for the competition because we've seen so much. Right now, it's Olympics Day, it's Olympics week, it's Olympics month until the end of the year. They're going to spend enough season celebrating 2 trophies, and then next year they're going to realize that it's hard enough to win a trophy. It's even harder to keep your title. So that's going to be another exciting campaign coming up.
Absolutely, and I just want to say, obviously, congratulations to Canberra Olympic on the season that they had, and obviously claiming the ultimate prize of winning the NPLW title. Jeremy, just further on from what you were sort of talking about there in a more sort of general sense, in terms of NPLW, was there anyone that sort of stood out to you throughout the season amongst sort of all the clubs? Any little shout outs or any stories that you liked sort of over the season in NPLW that you want to sort of share?
There's been a few. I think it's probably an easy one, but a good shout to the unspoken, the volunteers. Like whenever I would come to the game, I needed I can't, on top of my head, I usually have a hard time remembering all of their names, but right now I remember Kathy Dumos because I was just talking to her yesterday. But all the team managers, they're always here to help. They're always here to give us the last team news before we go on to comms, because without them, we can't get anywhere. So it's great to see how much there is around this women's football in Canberra, and there's more and more of it, which shows that the interest in the game goes. I think it's I was talking about that with my partner just today when she was asking me why there was so little fans watching the NTC game this afternoon in the AIS. And I was like, it's a bit of a chicken and the egg. People don't want to put too much money in the WNPL because the level is not up there, but the level is slowly going up there and it's not followed. I think we're seeing the level really going up and up, and it's thanks to all those people that are helping, supporting the teams and the clubs, and even teams that are supposedly struggling like Tuggeranong United or the Wagga City Wanderers. The simple fact that they're showing up every single weekend, the simple fact that they're able to line up players for both reserves and first grade team, I think is the best story of this season. this commitment year after year after year is the reason why this season we sat with not one team or two teams dominating, but three teams, almost four dominating, a real battle for the title until the end, a real battle for the fourth place until the end. And when we see the quality in other teams, undoubtedly it's going to keep happening, and it's going to get tighter and tighter while leveling up, not leveling down. So I think we are definitely going the right way in the capital as far as WNPL goes.
We certainly are. Jeremy, thanks so much for your contributions throughout the season, and enjoy your break. I mean, you'll be at work, but enjoy your football break.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important as well for me to thank everyone who's been around. I clearly don't do that on my own. I had a few games that I couldn't do, and Matt, you've done a great job. Jumping in when I couldn't, or even just being with me and helping me throughout it. And shout out to you too for this podcast as well, which is pretty awesome. Excuse me. And thank you to everybody who's helping us, making the commentary great, making this podcast great. The whole community, I think, around football in Canberra and around women's football is 99.99% positive. And I think that's the main thing to take from this season.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our CPL section of the show. Webby is joining us, very proud of his Newcastle team getting the victory on the weekend, scoring 4+ goals. I forgot the final score. 4-1 against Fulham, right?
Yep.
Correct.
So, Webby, thanks for joining us, and how's it going?
Yeah, good. Anytime Newcastle can score more than 2 goals, and it's not often. Very happy. So it's a good weekend.
Well, it certainly is, and it was one for Tuggeranong United, who ended up getting the victory here in the CPL grand final. And just before that, Wagga City Wanderers ended up getting the grand final victory in the 23s. So congrats to them. In this one, though, the stage was set for the Southside Derby, the Tuggeranong Derby, Tuggeranong versus Brindabella Blues. Tuggeranong defeated Queanbeyan City in the qualifying final to get here, and the Brindis defeated ANU in the elimination final, and then Queanbeyan in the preliminary final to get here. Really, really good crowd. I was at this one. There was a fantastic crowd on hand. A nice sunny day, actually, at the CPL grand final compared to the day before, where it was sunny, but it was raining on and off, despite the sun being completely out for those 4 finals. Brindabella Blues opened the scoring with 10 minutes left to go in regular time. Henry Wilkes passed it to Curtis Schaefer, who brilliantly turned his man and hit a bullet into the top corner. Absolutely terrific goal from the Brindis striker. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out on NPL TV. When it looked like the Brindis might be going home with the silverware, Tuggeranong hit a ball through, and Sam Walker chested it. I'll ask you, Webby, whether you think this was completely sort of intentional or not, or whether he was trying to go for the further man. But regardless, Sam Walker sort of chested it and put it past the keeper. This tight contest went to extra time. Brindis defended extremely well and had their chances throughout. Tuggeranong probably had the swing of play, had the better of the chances, but the Brindis did really well to keep them out. Incredibly, with 7 minutes from full time of the extra time, and a moment of magic from Adam Furch, who popped up with an overhead kick in the CPL grand final to win it for Tuggeranong United. How about that? The oldest man on the pitch grasped it by the scruff of his neck and pulled out something absolutely incredible for a fantastic goal. So well done to Adam Furch there. Coming off the bench as well, might I add. So super sub, Adam Furch. Commiserations to Brindabella Blues. They had their tactics pretty much spot on to a T in this one. Tried to negate Tuggeranong's constant attacking threat. Tuggeranong pressed early, but Brindabella won battles over the pitch and sort of stopped Tuggeranong for being that constant attacking threat throughout the game. And for a team that finished last in 2021 to make the grand final this year is an absolutely incredible achievement and a testament to everyone at Brindabella Blues. Like I said, to beat ANU and Queanbeyan to make the semis, let alone to take Tuggeranong to extra time, proves how well Brindis sort of channeled that underdog spirit, and they went above and beyond this season with Ray Jr. in charge. So well done to everyone at the Brindis. congratulations to Tuggeranong United, who have captured their second trophy of the year. As we mentioned before this year, their last trophy was in 2014. So to already capture promotion this season and add another trophy to the cabinet is a cherry on top for a terrific season for Mitch Stevens' side. Webby, there was heaps in this one. What did you make of it?
Yeah, it was a really good game, and again, probably following on what we talked about last week, probably closer than I thought it would be. I thought Tuggeranong would probably. I didn't think that it was going to be a whitewash, but I thought they'd probably win comfortably, maybe 2-0 or 3-1 kind of victory. But in the end, Brindabella were minutes away from walking away with it, and not completely undeserving either. Like they, as you said, I think Tuggeranong probably had the better of it for most of the game, and I'm not sure if they do award a man of the match for this game, but whether they won or lost, I think Reese Flissinger was the man of the match for me. Absolutely amazing. So again, if a goalkeeper is going to be man of the match, probably means the other team had the better of it. But again, I don't think Tuggeranong were at all completely dominant. And Brindabella were fantastic on the break and had their chances. They had some chances. Curtis Schaefer probably on another day could have scored 3 or 4 goals. Such is his quality in front of goal. He did score a fantastic goal, but it was probably his 4th or 5th really good chance that he had. Jordan Host, I think, even had a couple of chances getting in there. So again, Tuggeranong kind of almost riding their luck a little bit in that regard. So look, a really, really good game. It was played extremely well. Good advert for this league. Kenzo, for the fullback from Brindabella, was had a fantastic game as well. But look, Tuggeranong kind of showed their class in the end. But probably, a much tighter affair than they really expected. And it hurts for Brindabella. Minutes away from winning. It kind of reminded me a lot of the FA Cup final with obviously it wasn't as dramatic as the FA Cup, like the Fed Cup final, where Wanderers kind of had that game wrapped up to the 97th or 98th minute. But you kind of felt once Monaro scored, then once Tuggeranong scored, they were probably going to pick it in extra time. That's kind of the feeling that you got. And though this game probably looked like it was getting towards penalties, I think penalties would have probably been the likely scenario. Most people would have assumed that was going to happen, and it took an absolute bit of brilliance from Adzi. To give you some perspective, I was playing against Adzi in Masters 3 years ago, and now he's popping up and scoring the winner in Capital League Grand Final. So it's quite amazing. But look, kudos to Tuggeranong. Out of the 6 competitions in our kind of Premier League system, from men's, women's, CPL, and then the 23s and reserves, those 6 games, I think they were the only premiers to the only league champions to win. So it's pretty amazing. But again, kind of think about it at Brindabella's side. To get to a final from that 3rd and 4th game, 3rd and 4th position is very hard. You have to, and to win, it's even harder. That means you have to beat the top 3 or 3 of the top 4 in the league in succession. 3 weeks, win. It's very, very hard to do. So even to make that final from 4th spot, absolute fantastic. As you said, from last year, we talked about it last week. Absolutely amazing to even get there. So look, it was a really good game. It was enjoyable. I didn't get out there. I watched the stream, so I really enjoyed the call by the British duo. So even that was kind of just kind of added to it. So look, congratulations to Mitch. I know he put a lot of hard work into this season. As we said, they achieved what they set out to achieve in terms of promotion, but this was kind of icing on the cake. And commiserations to Ray because he's done such a fantastic job to get them this very young team to where they are.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, congratulations to Tuggeranong United for claiming the CPL title. It's been an amazing season for them where they've really looked faultless sort of throughout. And on the flip side of that, for Brindabella, they've been sensational this season, to go all the way to the grand final and be so close to actually winning it all. It is just a testament to how hard they've worked, particularly in the final series, essentially being, underdogs throughout, but, they've put their heart on their sleeve and they put forward such a great effort and they went toe to toe with Tuggeranong in that respect. So, they'll come back even sort of stronger and more eager next season to try and even, push for that promotion to the NPL. Webby, would you like to share your team of the year with us?
Yeah, because you asked very nicely. So look, it was really good. Great quality throughout the year. I'm just trying to think of what my team of the year was last year and whether there are any duplications. There probably are a couple. Obviously, I probably had a number of O'Connor-Knights players last year, obviously gone up. And I think I would have had a number of that extremely good Queanbeyan team from last year that Gabby had, but most of those guys are kind of gone back to first grade. But look, in goals, it was a tough one in goals, but who probably impressed me the most from the games where I kind of went out and watched was Ugali's goalie, Michael DePoli, and he's like Adzi on the getting into the later years, but still a quality goalkeeper, a great organizer. Can really kind of coach the team from the back, but also when it comes to shot stopping, fantastic. I think against Western, I think he saved 2 penalties. So fantastic in there. But to me, he was probably my number one. And look, I would say my kind of bench or special mention would be, as I already mentioned, to Reece Flissinger. I thought he was fantastic. The centre backs, well, I'll go through my back line, and as probably most people do when they pick teams of the year, they kind of cheat a little and put people in the wrong positions. So I've probably got a numerous centre backs in here. Look, who I would be playing at the centre backs, Harrison Bunell, I just think was absolutely fantastic for Tuggeranong. I think he's one of the best centre backs in Canberra, and that was kind of shown with some coaches because he was picked to play against the A-League side to represent Canberra a few weeks ago. So, which is pretty impressive from the division below to kind of get picked in a team like that. So, again, massive raps on him. I'm sure Mitch will be doing everything he can to keep hold of him for next year because he will be a massive asset in NPL next year. The other centre back, I had White Eagles centre back Charlie Williams. He was playing in Monaro 23s last year when they won 23s, but he's absolutely fantastic player. Very big, strong, fast. Really good with the ball at his feet. Wouldn't be out of place playing in the midfield. So to me, extremely good player, and I think he had a great season. Look, who I've got playing right backs, probably not really a right back, but more of a centre back, is Brindabella's Isaac Weekly. I think he had a fantastic season this year. Again, also very fast, very good on the ball, great dribble, distribution. He's comfortable, reads the play very well. And at left back, he probably has the advantage that I got to see him pretty much every week, was Will Liston from Western. Just an absolute constant performer. Just hardly ever puts a foot wrong, and to me was clearly Western's best player throughout the season. The centre midfielder in that kind of holding 6 role, and I think he's another guy who could, in my mind, definitely be playing NPL and be quite a good quality player in NPL. ANU's Monty Grace. He's fantastic. Quite likely I picked him last year as well in the team of the year. Just a fantastic player. He's a fantastic centre back as well. But once he gets into that midfield, he's a real engine and can really probably his best position is in that 8 position because he's just complete box to box. He's got that motor in him and he can score goals as well. But the two kind of creative centre midfielders I had in there was Jordan Host. Probably no surprise to anyone who's listened to me talk on this podcast. I just think he's such a fantastic player. So from Brindabella and Luke Stevens, who probably, again, he was playing for Wagga last year, and I think we picked him in the team of the year last year. But he made the transition straight over to Tuggeranong and was absolutely fantastic for them. Just an amazing player. And I think we talked about it last year in terms of when we knew he was leaving Wagga and coming to Canberra. I said it'd be great to see him go to an NPL club because I think he would really actually do quite well in NPL. Well, now, assuming he stays with Tuggeranong, he's got that chance to play NPL next year, and I think he'll be someone to watch. Across the front line, I'll say my apologies. So my reserve player for the back line was ANU's Alistair Moore. Again, another centre back, but I think he had a really fantastic year. Had a great partnership with Jan. And he just keeps getting better and better, I think, Alistair. And my reserve centre midfielder was David Ramos from Queanbeyan. He came over from the USA and he's fantastic, absolute quality player. I think he played quite high in America, possibly in the kind of MLS reserves. And you can see why. He's a lot of quality. And again, someone who could easily step up and be a good player in NPL. The front line is usually always the hardest kind of pick. I'll start off with my player of the season. Was Sam Walker, an absolute pickup for Tuggeranong. He's just a phenomenal player. The players I love to watch, unassuming. He's not fancy. He doesn't try and get the ball and take on 6 players. He just does the simple things right. They're just so effective, everything he does. His eye for a pass, he can drop in and play at that 10 position and he's fantastic, or he pushes up and plays at that 9. And that's that perfect 9 for me, that kind of Bobby Firmino type of 9 who can just drop in and really connect the midfield to the front line. And he's phenomenal, a fantastic player. And again, we knew the raps that he had on him from playing in the Northern New South Wales NPL, where he was a former Golden Boot and a former Player of the Year. But he's really shown why. And again, if Tuggeranong can hold on to him, he will be an exceptional player in first grade next year. And the two that I kind of had on the wings, so from White Eagles, Chennai Kagla, he again was fantastic. I think I talked about it during this year. I think a massive loss for ANU, losing Chennai, and I think he was fantastic at White Eagles, and he scored a hatload of goals. And again, he's probably just a kind of perennial player in any team of the year that I pick, and that's Max Model from ANU. Just a fantastic, talented winger. And my kind of reserve player from there was also ANU, another elder statesman, Chase Deans, who again had a really good year this year, and he scored a number of goals. So every year I kind of wonder whether Chase is going to keep going the next year, but this year he had such a fantastic year. It'd be a shame to not see him be playing again next year. So look, that's my team. There's probably some other kind of shout outs out there. Mason Donadell from Ugali, again, he's so young, but such a fantastic player. I was quite impressed with Morris Cazzola from Wagga. And Wagga actually did really, really well to kind of get thereabouts for the top 4 this year. So, again, a kudos to them as well. But that's kind of my team. What do you guys think? Any interesting names in there that you probably wouldn't have expected?
The only one I can think of that you didn't include or shout out was Hislop. That's about it. Besides that, you're mostly pretty much spot on with most of that team.
Kurt Schaefer as well up front.
Schaefer as well, yeah.
Yeah, Schaefer, yeah. But I think overall, pretty good team.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I think if you put that team in NPL, they do all right.
Absolutely.
Certainly would. Webby, before we sign off, do you have any last sort of shout outs or stories that you thought were really cool that we haven't mentioned yet from CPL this season?
I do kind of have one. It's not CPL first grade, but CPL 23s. I think a good shout out, and it's actually a very interesting story, is Wagga City's 23s side. We kind of talked about it before to say if you come from 3rd and 4th, you have to win against the top 3 straight. So we've only had kind of an age reserve grade in the 2nd division for the last 4 years. Before that, it was open reserve. So the last 4 years, we've had an aged reserve grade, and they happen to be the same 4 years that Wagga have played in this competition. So in 2019, it was under 20s, and in that year, Wagga came 4th. And from 4th, they beat my Western team in the 3rd and 4th game, and then beat O'Connor Knights, and then beat ANU to win 3 straight and win the title from 4th. And then the next year was a COVID shortened year. So we had, it was only straight semi-finals, and they came 3rd and beat my Western team again, who were 2nd, and then beat ANU in the final again and won the title. The next year, I don't think they actually finished in the top 4, but that season was the season cut short and there was no finals, again, because of COVID. And then this year, again, they came 4th, beat Ugali in the 3rd and 4th game, beat ANU in the next game, and then beat Brindabella. So they have not finished in the top 2 in any of the 4 years, but they have won all 3 grand finals, winning 8 straight finals matches. It's absolutely amazing. 8 from 8 in those last 4 years to win through. So I talked about ANU being a finals team in first grade last year. This is the ultimate finals football team. They're just they must just feel invincible when they get out in a finals match. So look, amazing. Just a shout out to them. Absolutely amazing effort.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm not sure if I said this at the start of the show, maybe, but yeah, when I was calling that with Russ, Adam Stevens, absolutely terrific in goals for Wagga. He actually won man of the match in that final. He made a double save. I'm not sure if you saw it, Webby, but made a save on the edge of the box. And then as he was retreating from that save, leapt back for a top corner save. And I was very, very impressed with that. And there was a lot of players in both teams, actually, that were very impressive in that game. And I'm sure you'll see some of them anyway next year in the CPL for either Wagga or Brindis. Anyway, Webby, thank you so much for your contributions to the show for this year. And any last words before we head and wrap it up for the season?
No, look, thanks for having me on. And again, congratulations to you guys. Huge season. Is this potentially your first full season?
Yes.
I'm not even sure. So yeah, look, so big effort to get through. It's I know from the coaching side of things, it's a long season. These 21-week seasons, they take a lot of time, and so it's a big effort for you guys as well. So congratulations.
Cheers, Webby.
Thank you so much, Webby. And that is us for the 2022 season. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Everyone that's joined us, everyone that's join us for an interview, and everyone that's given us info for commentary and the podcast as well. Thank you so much, as always, everybody. Have a wonderful summer break, and get out and have some holidays if you can. If you got some leave, go and enjoy the summer air and the oceans. It's definitely going to be a good summer. Everybody, have a great summer.